Alright, welcome back. We are here for episode 3, and you may notice we are in a slightly different position than we were previously. My name is Joey Ruff. I am the resident bartender and alcohol pseudo-expert, if you will. You'll find me here a little bit where I'm more comfortable behind the bar. So, and here with me, as always,
Joseph Freibold, local IT manager, all things tech enthusiast. And today we are bringing to you Smarter Homes, Dumber People. And along with the Smarter Homes, we're going to dive into making a smarter bar as well. So, Joey, how are we going to make a smarter bar?
Well, it's very easy to walk into a liquor store and be overwhelmed by the sheer number of things and think, man, it's going to be really expensive to stock my bar. But if you're just finding us and you're just discovering, the joys and the art of cocktail making, and you may want to, maybe you never had a bar before, maybe, whatever. You're in a new place. There's a few basic things that we can get you started with in order to stock the bar that aren't going to break your bank.
Yeah.
And, you're not going to... You'll feel smarter because you can do a lot with a little. So we're going to introduce a few of the staple ingredients here that you can find in any liquor store. Nothing is allocated that we're about to show you. Nothing is hard to find. Nothing is very expensive either. Pretty much all of the liquors that we're going to show you are going to be $30 and under.
Okay.
So, pretty easy. You can probably walk out of a liquor store definitely spending less than $200. And so then the only other things you will need besides these liquors is just some fruit juice, maybe a club soda or tonic, that kind of thing. A little thing of bitters. If you want, bitters go great and transform a lot of drinks. And, amplify flavors and stuff. So
we saw that quite a bit with the old-fashioned in episode 1.
Absolutely. So, alright, here's what we need. You don't need a ton of stuff. I mean, obviously, basic alcohols. You got your vodkas. You got your tequilas, bourbons, whiskey, scotch. All that stuff. What else? Tequilas, gins, brandies, all the things, right? So, obviously, vodka. Vodka is going to be number 1 right there. So, the vodka I have chosen today, this is Rocktown vodka, comes out of Arkansas. Relatively unknown, relatively inexpensive, super great quality.
Okay.
We use this in the bar that we own, and we did a blind taste test. Everybody knows Tito's vodka. We did a blind taste test between this and Tito's. I'm not going to badmouth Tito's here, but this was better. So we'll just leave it at that. This was noticeably better on the palate. Alright, bourbon-wise, obviously, if you're going to have a home bar and you're going to entertain people, somebody in your crew, even if it's not you, is going to want bourbon.
Yeah.
Right, so...
And my crew do.
Yeah, for sure. But, you have friends over, you have family over, whatever. Maybe it's dad, maybe it's grandpa. If you're a female watching this that may not be into bourbon, maybe boyfriend, whatever. So, Bullet is, I don't know, probably been my staple bourbon go-to for the last 8 to 10 years. It's just a really great middle-of-the-road bourbon. You can find it literally anywhere that sells bourbon or whiskey of any kind. And not only is it solid for just sipping neat or on the rocks by itself, but it's a great mixer. When you're mixing a bourbon cocktail, the idea is not to use a super expensive, high-end, I got E.H. Taylor, Eagle Rare back here on the shelf. You don't need that. You're paying too much for rare bourbons.
Yeah.
Just to, kind of mask that flavor with things like sour mix or, stuff like that. So just a good middle-of-the-road bourbon, and this one's great because it's also great neat. So other great bourbons you could try, Buffalo Trace, Makers, Four Roses, Woodford, anywhere in that kind of, area is great. Tequila-wise, you need a tequila. Maybe it's just Taco Tuesday, you know. Maybe you've got people that really like doing shots of tequila. So either way, a good tequila is a good staple in your home bar. And that's kind of like the great, you know, trifecta of liquor. You could do gin, but gin kind of tends to be polarizing. People either love gin or hate gin.
Yeah.
And if people are gin drinkers, a lot of the classic gin drinks, like a gin martini or a gin and tonic, can be substituted with vodka. So, you know, if you have a gin drinker, chances are they'll find something else to drink. And then rum, you know, rum tends to be a little bit more strong on the palate. It's hard, unless you get a really good rum, it's hard to just sip a rum neat. So we'll talk about rums on a different episode, because there's a lot of great characterization with rum, but rum usually uses a lot of extra stuff to make a cocktail. So for the sake of simplicity, no hating on rum, but we're going to leave him out. Alright, triple sec. Triple sec is a bar staple. Goes great in a lot of drinks. Triple sec is basically just an orange liqueur.
Okay.
And triple sec, I mean, there's a lot of orange liqueurs. Grand Gala, Cointreau, you know, things that people have heard. Triple sec is really, it's a great mixer because it's relatively inexpensive. I mean, you're talking probably less than $10 a bottle.
Oh, okay.
So really, really great one. And then we're going to mix it up and put a little Kahlúa out there. Kahlúa is a rum-based coffee liqueur.
Okay.
And it goes really well on like an after-dinner kind of dessert cocktail. So with these 5 things, we'll walk you through some stuff, and we'll show you a little bit more that you can do with some stuff. So yeah, we'll have some fun today, and we will make some cocktails.
Okay.
How about that?
That sounds like a good plan.
I got a little history on some of these liquors as well, so we will go from there. Where do you want to start?
What is the thing that you would suggest if you were going to start a bar in your home? This is the very first bottle you're going to buy and make a cocktail with it.
Yeah. The very first bottle. I'm a bourbon drinker, so I'm going to drink bourbon.
Okay.
So
sounds like the place to start.
We want to start with a bourbon cocktail. Alright. I kind of had it in my notes for an old-fashioned, but we did the old-fashioned 2 episodes ago. Feels a little too rehashing. So what we're going to do here is, let me grab glasses. We're going to change it up and give another classic whiskey cocktail, a whiskey sour.
Okay.
So whiskey sours are great. It's basically 2 ingredients. You've got whiskey or bourbon, and you have sour mix. Okay. You can buy sour mix at the store. Liquor stores will have it. Grocery stores will have it. There's usually a mixer section in a grocery store, where all the club soda and stuff is. But we make our own. It's super easy to make sour mix from scratch. It's basically lemon juice, lime juice, and sugar.
Okay.
That's it. So, super easy. I've got it pre-bottled right here. Give it a little shake because citrus tends to settle. So we're going to do, usually a basic cocktail is 1.5 to 2 ounces of your base spirit.
Okay.
So we're going to start with 2 ounces of bourbon. We're going to grab some ice. Probably sounds great in the microphone. Ice, baby. And then we're going to take our sour mix, and we're just going to fill the glass. So there are fancier ways to do whiskey sours, and if you go to a nice cocktail bar, not a dive bar, I would not be surprised if they shook an egg white into it.
Okay.
The egg white gives it a little bit more body, a little bit makes the drink a little more full, feels a little creamier.
Okay.
There's a lot of reasons to do an egg white other than just making it fancy, but we don't need to do all that in a home bar. So get a little drink stirs, mix it around a little bit.
Thank you.
And yes. So yeah, with your home bar, if you're gonna entertain people, always good to have lemons, limes, and oranges on hand for garnishes for fruit juice. You can buy, like, here, I'll show you my cheating ways. You can get lime juice, lemon juice at the grocery store. It's easy, but it's also really great. And if you want to impress your guests, just, squeeze your juice yourself. Get some fresh fruit, squeeze it. It's going to take a little bit more fruit to get the same amount of juice, but it is worth it. The taste is noticeable, and it's a bigger wow factor.
Yeah.
So, whiskey sour.
Sour is right.
Mm-hmm. But it's good, and especially if it's a hot day outside. Because whiskey is, for me at least, for a lot of people, I think, whiskey's a hard one to drink in the summer.
Yeah.
Because it's heavier. It gives you that Kentucky hug. It warms you from the inside out.
That's right, yeah.
And so,
Kentucky hug, I like that.
Kentucky hug. So yeah, if you pair it with something like citrus, it'll play better in hot weather.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whiskey sour.
So one thing I want to bring up and have a question about here is, in this case, we grabbed ice out of the cooler.
Yep.
And poured it in. Some people swear by, when you make a whiskey or bourbon, you've got to have the ball ice, or you've got to have just a large ice cube.
Yeah.
Tell me why you might prefer that over just ice out of the cooler.
Why you have to have the balls for bourbon?
Yes.
Well, I think it's just a matter of melting.
Mm-hmm.
You get a big block of ice, it's going to melt a lot slower.
Okay.
It's going to put a little bit less water over time into your drink, so you get more whiskey out of it. Whereas the smaller the ice, the faster it's going to melt. That's not really cocktail art, that's just science.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's really it. But, I mean, honestly, it's preference.
Mm-hmm.
We would do more ice balls, ice spheres, ice giant blocks of ice. I mean, however you want to do it. They're round, they're square, some people I've seen, especially in the fancy bars, they'll take a big hunk of ice and they'll take like an ice pick and they'll
chip it in,
shave it down, make it cool, and that's really about the art of it and the showmanship of bartending.
Okay.
But I mean, really, the point of ice is to get your drink cold.
Yeah.
And to hydrate you just a little bit as you're imbibing the spirits. So.
Well, here's to imbibe it.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's refreshing. I love it. I don't do this drink enough. Usually when I'm drinking bourbon and I'm out, I always think old-fashioned.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a really solid choice.
I am not a sour person.
Yeah.
I don't like Sour Patch Kids and sour gummy worms and that kind of thing. So this is probably the first whiskey sour I've ever had.
There you go.
And it tastes pretty good. I think if there was more lemon or lime, it would be too much. But I think this mixture is just enough that I would feel comfortable drinking probably more than one.
Yeah. I mean, and you can always do order a double. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get a little bit extra bourbon in it. Pay a little bit extra for it. But if you're making it at home, the point of this is home bar.
Yeah.
Put as much bourbon as you want. We did 2 ounces. You can put 3 or 4 if you wanted a little less sour.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Let me sip it on this for a few minutes.
That's good stuff.
Hopefully it lasts a few minutes. It's
We'll
pretty
see.
good.
We'll see. All right. So smart homes. We're
Yeah.
sitting at home. We're drinking a cocktail. Maybe, my experience with smart homes is usually, that Alexa device or, my Roomba going off that I can set my schedule from my phone, that kind of thing. And, makes sitting there drinking a cocktail feel a little better because my house is getting vacuumed.
Yeah.
I can use Alexa to maybe check the front ring camera doorbell, or if somebody comes by, or I can change my thermostat, turn on my lights, turn off my lights, all that kind of stuff.
So you do have a couple Alexa devices at home.
Mhm.
I also have a couple Alexa devices at home. We'll dive into Alexa a little deeper later, but let's just start at the beginning.
Okay.
First of all, smart home. The idea behind it is making your life smarter.
Yeah.
You know, finding a way to make things easier, finding a way to automate some kind of task, and that didn't start with Alexa. It didn't start with the internet.
Mhm.
Think back to like the early 1900s. In 1901 is when the vacuum was created.
Mm.
That was smart home tech at the time.
Yeah.
Not because your vacuum was connected to the internet and could run on schedules, but because it did something that made life easier, or was supposed to. Okay, right after the vacuum, you're talking the refrigerator, dishwasher, you're talking the toaster, all kinds of just home appliances
Yeah.
that now are making things easier. Um, we live in an area where there are Mennonites and Amish that live very close to us. They don't use any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They may have a simpler life, but we might have an easier life. Not that those two things are mutually exclusive. But then, 1930s to 1966, you had what was called the Echo 4. Echo, the Amazon device, I think probably pulled its name from the Echo 4 in 1960s.
Okay.
It was the Electronic Computing Home Operator. That's what it stood for.
Hmm.
It could do things like create shopping lists, home temperature, turn appliances on and off, that kind of thing, but very, very basic in its functionality.
With no Wi-Fi to control it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Wi-Fi did not exist.
Did they have to plug in directly to this Echo device in order to be operated by it?
I think there was some different kinds of ways of it communicating. Some were serial, some were X10 and a couple other things. We'll talk a little bit more about X10 in a little while, actually just in a few minutes. But different kinds of ways of communicating. Sometimes it was as simple as they were physically connected to this device. You hit a button and it does the thing because now you're allowing electricity to go through, that kind of thing. Kind of like a switch.
Gotcha. Okay.
But then, in 1969, they created the kitchen computer. Basically, the idea behind the kitchen computer was you're going to take your recipes and organize your recipes. That was it.
Okay.
The price sucked. Okay, we'll talk about how much it was in just a second.
Way more than stock in your bar, huh?
Yes, way more. So 1965, going back just a little bit, we had the first touchscreen was developed in England. You think of a smart home, you think of your smartphone, you think of your Amazon Alexa device, maybe not Echo, but like the Echo Show, or there's all kinds of different digital assistants that you can have that have touchscreens with them. But 1965, first touchscreen. The late 1960s, that's the Honeywell kitchen computer. It was 100 pounds and $10,000 to put it in your home. So
that's a lot of bourbon.
Yeah, a lot of bourbon for $10,000, and to top it all off, in order to use it, you had to go somewhere to take a 2-week programming class.
Oh wow, man.
So 1960s.
When you say $10,000 in 2 weeks out of your life, that really emphasizes the dumber people part.
Well, it didn't take off very well.
Yeah, I bet.
For many reasons, the price tag was one of them. But if you think about the 1960s, and this is not a catch-all, but in the 1960s, who made most of the financial decisions in a household?
Probably the man.
Probably the man. The kitchen computer was, in the 1960s, mostly for the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And the man said, no, this is stupid. We're not going to spend $10,000.
Well, and in the 60s, too, $10,000 was a lot harder to come by than it was these days. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to come by these days sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, what, $10,000 in the 60s would be like, what, $100,000 today?
Yeah, I'd have to
maybe
do some math. I'll throw that on the screen.
Yeah. We don't fact check, we just talk and drink.
And then we edit later. Okay, but I've talked about X10. Mm-hmm. 1975 is when X10 came about.
Okay.
It was an industry standard that allowed devices to communicate. And today we think of we're communicating over Wi-Fi or over some kind of protocol.
Bluetooth.
Yep. So in 1975, what they did is most of these devices were connected to a 120 volt plug, AC, coming out of your house. And this X10 industry standard allowed you to communicate from device to device across your electricity, where it would send short bursts from one device to the other during low energy consumption times in order to communicate. That was a great start, to communication.
Sure.
If you think about how many things you have plugged in at your house, probably not ideal to keep it as a great standard for today.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the introduction to communicating over cross lines, copper lines or something similar. And it's a little bit similar to where we started with power over Ethernet. So now you have PoE devices that get their power from a device over the same cable as the data. So very similar in initial concepts for that. That's 1975. But then in the 1980s, programming tasks became this widespread phenomenon through America and other places, where now you had the digital thermostat, you had the washer and dryer, the dishwasher, microwaves. Think about Betamax, and you preset your recording so you could record at a scheduled time, automatic garage doors, motion lights. So that's kind of in the 1980s where things really start picking up, because now devices are, you're able to do more things with a device other than just turn it on and off. In fact, in 1984, the American Association of House Builders first coined the term smart house at that time. So the 1980s really is what starts that great communication method that we know and love today. But it just got bigger, because in the 1990s, a term called Garand technology came about, which was the research, practice, and principles in the field of technology and aging. So what does that mean? Essentially, it was, how can we use technology to make a senior's life, older people, how can we make their lives easier and simpler? You got people who can't get up and walk around quite as well as they used to. They can't see as well as they used to, hear as well as they used to, whatever the case may be. And so how can we use technology to make their lives simpler?
Sure.
The answer to that was things like robot vacuums, where now you have, I don't know that Roomba was in the 1990s, but you have things like the Roomba that are starting to pop up that you can put on a schedule, and it can do something that the senior or the older people can't necessarily do as well anymore.
Yep. Ooh, another thing I remember from the 90s is that commercial with, was it the Life, I don't remember. The little necklace that the old people wore in the commercial. He's got fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, Life Alert.
Yeah, Life Alert. That was a smart home device.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, it I think the Life Alert systems use cellular to communicate at that time. And I need to do a little bit more research on that, I guess, to determine how exactly that worked. But actually, I think if I remember correctly, it was a little necklace or pendant that talked to some kind of home base, basically. And that home base is what talked to.
Probably plugged into your phone line.
I think that's what it was. Now that I remember.
I was too young to know how that worked back then.
Yes. Well, I remember my grandma had something like that. I don't know that it was actually Life Alert brand, but it was a little necklace and then tied to this home base. And I think it was hooked into the phone line. In fact, I think I remember that we had to run a phone line, all the way across the house to get it into our bedroom, kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the early 1990s. Then 1997, everybody's favorite wireless communication has started to show up, and that is Wi-Fi. Specifically, it's the 802.11 wireless standard. That is the crux of wireless communication for almost every device there is. There's other wireless protocols, things like Bluetooth, for instance. But the Wi-Fi 802.11 standard, that was the standard that kind of changed the game totally.
Okay.
So going from there to the 2000s to today, of course, we talked about in the first episode, the iPhone in 2007. Well, now you get app stores, and because you get app stores, you get apps that can control your smart devices.
Yeah.
And in a little while, we'll talk about protocols and applications, but being able to press a button on your phone to communicate to a device to turn this, that, or the other on, that was just a game changer, because now you didn't have to have some kind of screen on the wall that you could, and that will come, but you could have all kinds of little applications or control systems through your phone to communicate with other stuff.
I can illustrate that point right now by doing this. It changes. We needed an additional light filming from this angle, so I've got a little light that connects to my phone. So there you go. Applications.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of the history. That is kind of the early 1900s to late 1900s to today.
Okay.
For how smart home tech became just this inundating technology around us. And in a little while, like I said, we'll talk about protocols and the different kind of ways to communicate. But I suppose now is getting close to the time for us to jump into our next round.
Oh, I just killed this one. Okay, and we are back with cocktail number 2. This one is one everybody knows. Let's be honest. This is a margarita. It may be Taco Tuesday at your house. It may just be a nice, warm, sunny Sunday afternoon. There's no shame.
Well, I would tell you, around this area, boating is huge. The only time I've ever had a margarita is when I'm out on the boat.
Okay.
Go find some place to throw anchor and jump in the water for a little while. And, we may have been drinking beer for, who knows how long. But at a certain point, it's time to break out the margaritas.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can just make a fantastic margarita that is perfect for a boating day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very similar also to what we just drank with the whiskey sour, but we're going to put a little sugar in this one.
Okay.
So it's going to cut that tartness a little bit, make it a little bit more palatable for people that don't like the sour as much. But, as far as cocktails go and different types of cocktails, there is a type of cocktail called a sour.
Okay.
And the idea behind a sour and what defines a sour cocktail is it has to have, one, a spirit to make it a cocktail. It has to have a citrus, and then it has to have a little bit of sugar.
Okay.
So, like I said with the whiskey sour, there's sugar in the sour mix with that, so that technically falls under the sour cocktail category. But it doesn't have as much sour or as much sweet as a margarita. It should have just a little bit more.
Okay.
But we're going with tequila on this one, y'all. Little history on tequila, since we've never talked about tequila before. Comes from Jalisco, Mexico. It is derived from blue agave. This liquor goes back to the 16th century, and it's clear for the most part. And then you barrel age, you get your reposado, you get your añejo, all that kind of stuff. Most people's experience with tequila is either in a margarita, or it's in shots in a bar, or in a frat house, and you're licking salt and squeezing a lemon. That's not what good tequila is. The darker, I've got some back here. This is a extra añejo. Añejo means aged in Spanish, and the extra means it's aged probably about 4 years. It's not aged as long as bourbon is.
Yeah.
The blanco means white. Spanish 101 will tell you that. So that's going to be what most cocktails are going to be used for. The darker stuff is better for just kind of sipping neat. If you have a really nice tequila, and some of them get pretty expensive. Michael Jordan has a tequila called Cincoro. That's probably $150 up a bottle, depending. And that's for the Blanco that's not aged.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I saw that bottle and saw the color, and I was like, man, that's a bourbon.
Yeah, it feels more like a bourbon than a tequila at that point. But tequila is used for anywhere from margaritas to palomas. Palomas are actually more popular in Mexico than a margarita is. And paloma is just tequila and grapefruit juice, maybe a little lime. But yeah, the taste, the tradition, the warmth of Mexico in every glass. Quick rundown of some cocktails you can make with tequila in your arsenal. Obviously margaritas, which we're about to make, ranch waters, palomas. We just mentioned tequila sunrise with different fruit juices, tequila and tonic. Tonic can go with anything. Tequila mule. Mules are ginger beer and lime with a spirit. Bourbon can make they call it a Kentucky mule.
I've heard that one, yeah.
Of course, Moscow Mule is the famous, it's where it all originated. That one is with vodka. Tequila sours, Mexican screwdrivers, that kind of stuff. So lots of different things that goes for. What we're going to mix with this, other than lime juice, is our triple sec. So that's where this guy comes into place. Triple sec, like I said, orange liqueur, comes from France in the 19th century. Dried orange peels, steeped in a redistilled neutral spirit. Just enough citrus flavor and sweetness to bring a nice balance. It's really a mixer.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it in sidecars. Sidecar is usually brandy based, but you can make them with bourbon. So in a home bar, that's another thing you can do with bourbon. Bourbon, triple sec, and lemon juice.
Okay.
Very popular during Prohibition. So yeah, lots of great uses for triple sec. Also, when we get into vodka, triple sec goes great in a Cosmopolitan. So there's that also. But yeah, let's jump in. All you really need for a margarita is your tequila, your triple sec, your lime juice, and a little sweetener. In the bar, we tend to use agave. Agave is more Mexican themed sweetener. Also comes out of the cactus, but simple syrup works just as well. And simple syrup, like your fruit juices, like your sour mix, you can buy in a store. You can buy in a grocery store. You can buy in a lot of liquor stores. You can just as easily make it at home. Just put a pot on the stove. It's equal parts sugar and water, and you boil it just until, or heat it. You don't really have to boil it. Heat it just until the sugar dissolves.
Okay.
Stir it off and let it cool. Put it in, a bottle or whatever, and you've got simple syrup. It'll last quite a while. I mean, it's sugar.
Now yours is glass. Does it matter what kind of container you put it in? Glass, plastic?
No. I mean, whatever you have, you can put it in a mason jar.
Okay.
You can put it in Tupperware. I mean, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then the other thing about margaritas, we mentioned licking salt off your hands. So this is one of those fancy rim devices that you'll see in a lot of restaurants, and it expands. Usually, when they're new, there's a little foam pad in this one. This top one is for lemon juice or lime juice, and you'll take your lime juice, you'll squirt it all over this foam pad. You'll take your glass rim, you'll stick it in there, and then this one down here is salt. This one down here is sugar. So if you want it a little sweeter, you'll do a sugar rim. Traditionally, if you're doing some kind of flavored margarita, strawberry margarita, blackberry margarita, blueberry margarita, you'll want sugar on the rim with that. But yeah, you do not need one of these. It's kind of like a clover. And the lid falls off. But it folds up, it compacts. You can have it. Is it necessary? No, it is not. What I have done here is I took a paper plate. And I poured some kosher salt in that. And then we're going to take our glass, we're going to take a lime wedge, and you just cut right down the middle of the lime wedge. So if you pull it apart just a little bit, you can see it separate. That means it will rest on the edge of your glass. If you rest it on the edge of your glass and then spin it,
Okay.
it will impart enough lime juice that when you dip it onto your plate, you're going to get a nice salted rim. The salt is going to also help in this case with cutting the sour.
Okay.
So people either really like salt or they're indifferent to salt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need salt in my margarita, and when we make them at the bar, we very rarely actually salt them. So this one we're going to do, because we have a rim on this, we're going to do this one in a shaker. Okay, because the problem with the salt or the sugar on the rim, it makes it so flimsy. Any touch of moisture on this rim is going to break the seal. So it's easier just to do it in a shaker, and then we can pour directly over the rim. So we're going to go with 2 ounces of tequila. Pouring it right into the shaker. I'll set my shaker up. And because I'm making 2 cocktails, we're just going to go ahead and double this recipe. So 4 ounces of tequila there. This is a jigger. I don't know. I'm not sure if we're supposed to talk about home bar tools, but you've got, the jigger is going to be your measuring device. This one here is a, I don't really know what this is called. They have different kinds. There's a bell jigger. This one here is just a straight kind of cylinder, but the idea is the same. It's got 2 sizes. This top one is 2 ounces. This bottom one is 1 ounce. And it's just used to measure out your stuff. Another home tool is your shaker. So the shaker is a metal cup where you pour your alcohol, put ice in, shake it up, and then this top piece comes off, and inside is a little strainer. So you can get it into the glass without all the ice. So
now, the other day, you and I were having a conversation about the shakers.
Yep.
And there's 2 different kinds of shakers that are pretty common.
Yeah.
You've got the one that you just showed, and then the other one is like a 2-piece cup and lid. Talk a little bit about the difference between the 2.
There's not a huge. This is the other one. This is one you will see more in restaurants. You have 2 cups. One is noticeably bigger than the other one. It's the same concept. You pour your stuff into it, you add your ice, you stick it in, give it a good firm shake, and then, you'll shake it up that way. And then when you're using this one, you also have to be mindful too. Cold contracts, so the more you shake it with ice, the harder it can be to pull apart again.
Okay.
And then you have this guy. This is a strainer. Little paddle with a little spring, like a small slinky on it. Fits inside the cup, and it will strain just the same as the guy that's on the top of the shaker right here. So,
okay, cool.
2 different ways to do it. This one's a little bit more complicated, a little bit more professional, a little easier if you don't know what you're doing with it. Just spill your cocktail all over your friends and yourself and everybody else. So, for home purposes, this one will suffice. And you can go on Amazon and you can get a set of bar tools for, $30 probably dollars. It'll come with your jigger. It'll come with your shaker. It'll come with bar spoons. Bar spoons are long, twirly things that we'll use in old fashions. We'll stick down in there, mix everything, and stir. You'll also get a muddler in that set. This is good if you want to mash in your old fashioned, perhaps a cherry, an orange. Some people may hate me for saying that because not everybody muddles fruit in an old fashioned. That's kind of regional. And then you get tongs usually with this as well. So tongs are great for getting cherries out of a jar, whatever. A couple other bar tools you may or may not ever need. This is a fruit zester. The top, these little loops right here, you'll use on the peel of a lemon or a lime or an orange to zest that. It's got a little hook on the side that you can kind of do those cool little lemon peel twists. And then I've got a peeler as well if you want a bigger piece of the rind for a garnish. So, all right, we did an ounce of lime juice. We did an ounce of triple sec. We did 2 ounces of tequila. We just need about a half ounce of simple syrup to sweeten it out. So because we're doubling this, I'm going to go with an ounce. We're going to add that in. Okay. And then we're going to go with some ice in here to get everything cold. I will also ice these cups. Common practice in cocktail making is to put ice in your shaker, but strain it off. That ice in the shaker will be pretty watered down, and again, simple science. You're just talking about adding friction, which heats and kind of speeds up. While you're cooling down your drinks, you're heating up your ice, which makes the ice melt. It puts a little bit of water into the cocktail as well. So you want fresh ice in your glass, and then you can put your garnish on the side like that. Mm-hmm. We're going to shake. I like to shake until it's so cold I can't really hold it anymore. It's metal. Metal's a conductor of hot and cold. So I could probably still hold it, but for the sake of drinking, we're going to do this. If you've ever heard of a skinny margarita, skinny margaritas are just designed to have less sugar.
Okay.
So if you want to make this recipe as a skinny margarita, you're basically just going to be doing 2 ounces of tequila, an ounce of lime juice, an optional splash of OJ if you want. And then usually you're going to top with club soda. So you're going to skip the sugar, you're going to skip the triple sec.
Okay.
It'll be a little bit lighter in calorie. And it'll make you feel better. It's dry January. It's health conscious January. If you want to cut the calories a little bit, cut the sugar. Cheers, sir. Eat some tacos after this. That's a margarita.
Mm-hmm.
We're not on the boat, but it'll do.
It may be January, but the sun has come out.
It is nice out.
And we might, need to forgo all of our other activities and go get the boat. Definitely very salty the first drink.
Yeah.
Of course, you're getting all the salt off the rim.
Yeah. The salted rim is optional. If you don't like the salt, don't do it. But if you do want the salt, just a simple kosher salt is all you need. You can get it at a grocery store. And then we got the little straw. So if you do have salt on it, don't like the salt, drink from the straw.
Yeah. That is good. That is very good.
All right. So let's get back to home.
So I promised a conversation about protocols.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the common protocol they use for Wi-Fi. Gonna dive into that a little deeper. Everybody knows Bluetooth. Gonna dive into that just a little bit because, to be honest, if you're gonna use Bluetooth for your smart home, you're not gonna have a smart home. We're just being honest here. Mm-hmm. But then we've got a couple other protocols that we're going to talk about as well that really take it to the next level. Some of them have been around for quite a while. Some of them are very new. So jumping into Bluetooth, why did I say if you're using Bluetooth that you're not going to have a smart home? Bluetooth is more one-to-one communication. It's more your phone to a particular device for a functionality, not all your devices being bridged together.
Okay.
Now, there are Bluetooth mesh networks. Mesh network being you have a device that communicates to another device that then pushes messages to other devices, and sometimes the mesh network can be extremely large. Talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes.
Okay.
But Bluetooth mesh networks, not very commonplace, not very useful for smart homes as far as the kind of things that we want to do with smart homes.
I've never heard of one, so.
It might be good to have Bluetooth for simple things like you have maybe a Bluetooth controlled light that you want to turn on and off, or Bluetooth speakers. That's the most common one, I think.
Yep, earbuds.
Yep. So you're communicating across Bluetooth to push audio to a particular device. So that's pretty common. But I don't know if you've ever watched a video while using Bluetooth and pushing Bluetooth to like a speaker, and the sound and the video don't match up because there's a little bit more of a delay with Bluetooth than what you might want for some particular instances of smart home tech. So, that's Bluetooth. We're going to skip over the rest of that and keep on going because the next one is Wi-Fi. Now, most people have a pretty decent Wi-Fi system in their home. If they don't, before you start any smart home technology, the best thing you can probably do is figure out why your Wi-Fi isn't doing very well. Whether you need a mesh Wi-Fi system to expand your Wi-Fi, or you might need some extenders or things of that nature, range boosters, Wi-Fi boosters, that kind of thing. Just keep in mind, if you're going to use a range booster, the signal that you get or the speed that you get after you've used a booster is never going to be the same as what is coming into your house. Your main router typically is going to have faster speeds than a booster is going to allow. Just because you're using wireless to send a signal to another device and then you're re-propagating that signal. So extenders will never allow you to have the full strength that you want. That being said, the other thing about wireless is it tends to be restricted in numbers of devices. The reason why for Wi-Fi is several reasons, but unless you are knowledgeable about networking, there's something called a DHCP pool, where your router hands out addresses to all your devices. And if it's a Wi-Fi enabled smart tech, it requires an IP address. So if your Wi-Fi is limited to, let's say for the sake of this video, 255 devices, that's a standard pool, give or take, your router, give or take your laptops, your desktops, your TVs, your other stuff. Yeah. So, the more things that you add on a personal network, the less room you have. The other thing is that ISPs tend to give out routers for their systems. Internet service providers, they hand out routers. And they, by default, will have a much more limited DHCP pool. So instead of it being 255, the pool may be limited from like .100 to .200. So you only have 100 addresses. So that severely limits your number of devices that you can have. Now, if you know what you're doing, you can jump into your ISP's router and you can make a change so that your DHCP pool is bigger or smaller. If you don't know what you're doing, there's 1,000 YouTube videos for every device out there. So, do a 5-minute video, learn how to expand your DHCP pool, make it a little bit bigger so that you have more addresses that you can assign. The other thing is, some devices are better to statically assign. Without getting into the details for networking, that's a later video, but you can have dynamic addresses through DHCP, or you can have static or reserved addresses. Some things like your printer probably need to be a static IP address so that your printer IP address never changes, because there's a good chance that you connected your printer to your computer using IP addresses. And of course, if it's 1.5 and then next week it's 1.6, now you can't communicate to your printer. So that's why you would use static. The other thing about Wi-Fi is there tends to be a lot of network congestion because you have your TVs that are running 4K, or you have maybe you have some Wi-Fi enabled cameras or something. So lots of devices on it. Now you get a little bit of congestion when trying to communicate. Again, your range is limited to whatever your Wi-Fi router can do, unless you put in some mesh networks. And they typically require more power, because for them to be enabled through Wi-Fi, you have to turn them on all the time. So they're constantly pulling power. A lot of times, if you have a Wi-Fi enabled device, this is not all the time, but a lot of times, you have to use the manufacturer's app for that device in order to control it. An example of that, maybe you get a Wi-Fi enabled device from Philips Hue, or maybe it's a light,
Okay.
And because you want to turn the light on and off, you use the Philips Hue application to turn that light on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are platforms out there that allow you to kind of bring it all together. So you don't have to use a manufacturer's app, but it's very common that you have a manufactured smart home tech. They're going to throw out their own application for it. Okay, then the big thing about Wi-Fi and why people tend to stay away from it in smart home tech, especially in recent years, is the problem with Wi-Fi is you use a Wi-Fi enabled device. So you say something like, Alexa, turn on my ceiling fan. Well, you're not saying, Alexa, turn on my ceiling fan. It goes to your, let's say, Kindle, and your Kindle then sends it to the ceiling fan. Instead, you're saying, Alexa, turn on my ceiling fan. It goes to the Kindle. Then it goes to Amazon's servers through the internet.
Yeah.
Then back to your house, and then back to your ceiling fan to turn it on or off.
Well, and a lot of the times, too, I mean, like, to your point, right? You've got that manufacturer app, and when you set up your Alexa, you have to enable a skill for Alexa to talk to that app. So that's an extra step, too.
So a lot of people's complaint about Wi-Fi, especially, you start watching videos about smart home tech, they're going to say, don't use Wi-Fi at all, because using Wi-Fi opens up a lot of privacy concerns. Why in the world do you need to send communication to the internet to get Amazon servers to allow you to turn your fan on?
Sure.
So now, somewhere in the world, there's a record of every single time you turn your fan on, every single time you turn it off, every time you use your Alexa-controlled lights or your Alexa-controlled thermostat. There is some server somewhere logging all of that. So that opens up some privacy. Yeah, well, exactly.
We did have, we had somebody who mentioned the other night to us that she was like, unless you have conspiracies in your podcast, I'm not going to watch it. There's a conspiracy right there.
Yes.
With Big Brother watching.
Well, that's not even a conspiracy. That's just real world. Yeah. I mean, Big Brother is watching, and not to say that Amazon is out to get you, but if you think about all the platforms that are out there, they all have to keep logs of that. Sometimes they may say, okay, your logs get purged after a certain amount of time, whatever. But if they're keeping logs, they've got logs somewhere. Yeah. And
they just get archived. They don't ever get deleted. Right?
Yeah, probably. So that's kind of the big thing with Wi-Fi is, okay, if you're going to use Wi-Fi, be aware that your information is going across the internet before it comes to your devices.
Okay.
The other problem with that is speed. Because if it has to go across the internet, then it's a little slower than if it was just device talking to device.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be transparent. I have Alexa devices in my home. You have Alexa devices in your home. I enjoy the fact that Alexa is pretty good at controlling devices, and to be honest, it's pretty quick nowadays. Now, I have good internet speed up and down.
Second?
Yeah,
Turn on the light.
There is nothing in my house that is Alexa controlled that I need to have an immediate response to at this time.
Right.
That may change over time, but
Alexa,
at this time,
turn on fire suppression system.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more about home automations in a little bit, but yes.
Okay, so if Wi-Fi sucks, what is the other option?
Okay, so we got three that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
We got Z-Wave, also known as Z-Wave, especially in the States. Then we have Zigbee, and then we have Matter.
Okay.
The first one we're going to talk about is Z-Wave, or Z-Wave. It was previously a closed standard. So what does closed standard mean? It means that to be a part of the Z-Wave standard, you had to go through rigorous testing. You had to take your testing and a demonstration and give that to the alliance that allowed you to be a part of Z-Wave. What was nice about it being closed, it basically meant if you were part of the Z-Wave platform or the protocol, it was going to communicate pretty good with other Z-Wave devices. Now, the opposing protocol is Zigbee, where Zigbee is open, and that means that you don't have to go through the same rigorous testing, the same process to get involved with Zigbee.
Okay.
So you might have more devices from Zigbee that don't communicate near as well. Now, in recent years, that's changed dramatically, uh, quite a bit, just because more people are trying to get more devices to communicate better. But to join Zigbee, you didn't have to talk exactly the same as another Zigbee manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Z-Wave, you did. Recently, in the last couple of years, Z-Wave has become an open policy or an open protocol.
Okay.
So it doesn't require as much strenuous testing and compatibility, development, that kind of thing, but still pretty strict standard.
Okay.
The other thing about Z-Wave, we're in the United States, we're in Kentucky, but people in other countries can't really get a hold of Z-Wave devices near as well as the U.S. can. So if you're in the UK or you're in some other country, it may be a little bit harder to get those devices.
Mm.
So another thing that sets Z-Wave apart is Wi-Fi tends to be on 2.4 or 5 gigahertz frequencies. Okay. Bluetooth is also on 2.4, as is Zigbee. Z-Wave is not. Instead of it being on 2.4 gigahertz, it's in a megahertz range. I think it's between 8 and 900 megahertz.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a much lower frequency band, which means there's not near as much crosstalk and interference in your house like what Zigbee, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi would create for each other.
Okay.
The other thing is original Z-Wave standard networks were limited to about 230 devices per standard network. There is something called Z-Wave long range, which is 4,000 nodes. But typically, the original standard networks in previous years were about 230 devices. Okay, so we're going to jump away from Z-Wave.
Yeah.
We're going to jump into a protocol called Zigbee. If you look up smart home tech on Amazon, there's a really good chance you're going to see Zigbee compatible somewhere near the main title of that product.
Okay.
The reason why Zigbee was done in the 90s, again, it uses the same 2.4 gigahertz network as, not the same, it uses the same frequency, 2.4 gigahertz, as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Okay.
But there is essentially no device limit to Zigbee. As long as you have you have end devices. You may think of an end device as like a Bluetooth speaker, or in this case Zigbee, so it's like some kind of Zigbee enabled speaker. But then you also have routing devices. Typically, these routing devices are something that are connected to a mains network. Mains meaning it's plugged into 120 volts. An example of that might be a smart plug, or it might be a light bulb, or things of that nature. So you have those routing devices that they act as a mesh network throughout your home, where you have your main hub of some kind, a Zigbee hub, and it communicates to your routing devices that then allow your signal in your house to be expanded to other rooms for your end devices. Very nice. That means you can basically have unlimited number of devices on Zigbee.
So this is not connected to your Wi-Fi. It's like if your internet goes down, this still works.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because now devices are communicating directly to each other.
Okay.
So you might have, again, I mentioned a smart plug that might be a routing device because it gets 120 volt power. So it's obviously connected to some device. You might have a lamp or something plugged into that smart plug.
Okay.
So you can control that smart plug, but then that smart plug can also communicate to the other devices in your room, such as maybe a push button. So you can have Zigbee buttons that sometimes they're magnetic bases, sometimes you screw them in, sometimes you just sit them there. You hit the button and you can then control an action through Zigbee through devices.
So you can have a button next to you on the sofa, hit that button, turns the lamp on across the room.
Exactly. So
it's not voice controlled so much.
Well, so you can have voice control, sure.
Okay.
But Zigbee, one of their big things is let's give you something physical to have as well.
Okay.
Or let's do automation through other devices without you having to do anything at all. So it's really nice. Zigbee also has something called binding, equipment binding. So in our example, the button that controls a lamp, that button is bound to the lamp, which means you don't have to do a lot of programming to say, okay, button, turn off the lamp. In Alexa, you got to do a skill. In this case, you would configure the button to be bound to the lamp, and you can just click the button, turns off and on, that's it. Okay, so the other nice thing about Zigbee devices is because they are using the Zigbee protocols, they use a lot less energy, which means you don't have to have as big of batteries in your end devices, which is very nice. So you might have a coin cell battery that lasts for almost a decade before you have to change it again. Not all devices are created equally.
Sure.
Some devices are going to pull more power, but it is nice that you can use some coin cell operated device that will last a lot longer. You don't even have to think about charging, which is very nice. I also mentioned the word hub earlier. You do need to have some kind of Zigbee hub. So some device that at the beginning controls it all.
I was curious about that because, like on Wi-Fi, most of my smart devices I can get through my phone.
Right.
So,
but in this case, you do have to have some kind of hub that controls all the Zigbee devices. There are lots of Zigbee devices out there that act as hubs. Some of them are as simple as, like, an Alexa Echo can act as a Zigbee device. The newer ones can. Not all of them, but the newer ones. And other devices too. There's something called Home Assistant, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. But there's a dongle for Zigbee that you connect into your Home Assistant device, whether that's an old computer, or you can buy actual Home Assistant computers. You would plug your dongle into that.
$10,000?
No, not even close. Actually, more like $100. But you can then use that dongle to communicate with your other Zigbee devices wirelessly through your home.
Yeah.
So here is one of the drawbacks, though, of Zigbee is its data rate speed is limited to about 250 kilobits per second. That's not a lot. If you're doing 4K video from a doorbell, think of it like a Ring doorbell or something similar to that.
Yeah.
That video is not going to come in very clear across Zigbee.
Sure.
So most of the time, those devices are more of Wi-Fi devices because you can get a lot better speeds through Wi-Fi. But Zigbee, most of the time, doesn't need to be a high data rate because you're doing simple things like on-off, and that's it. You press a button, and it's registering on or off. So it then sends it to the signal.
Is that
to the lamp?
Instantaneous?
Pretty close, yeah.
Not going out to the internet and back again. So.
Right, so it's localized, which means it is much faster. Okay. Zigbee, Z-Wave, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, those are all good. In 2022, they created something called Matter. Matter is done by the same alliance, industry standard alliance that Zigbee has been a part of since the 90s. Matter has two different protocols that it uses to communicate. One is Matter over Wi-Fi. The other is Matter over Thread. If you go buy a smart home device at Lowe's or Walmart or whatever, and then you look up one on Amazon, you're going to see compatible with Matter, or compatible with Matter over Thread, or compatible with Matter over Wi-Fi. Matter is not a full stack protocol. So what does that mean? A full stack protocol is both the application layer and the communication or the protocol that you then send, your signal. So application is what to talk about. Protocol is how do you talk about it. So Zigbee, Z-Wave, they're full stack protocols, meaning they are both the application layer and the protocol layer. Matter is not. Matter is the application layer. Wi-Fi and Thread are your protocols for communication.
Okay.
So a Matter over Wi-Fi device may not be compatible with Matter over Thread as far as communicating directly to each other. However, the Matter application should handle that communication. So one comes in over Wi-Fi, one comes over Thread, and Matter sorts out the difference to communicate between the two.
Okay. So what is Thread?
Thread is
Wi-Fi is.
Thread is a protocol similar to Wi-Fi, similar to Zigbee, where it allows for mesh networking between devices. Now that I've told this to you, the next time you're at Lowe's or you're at Walmart, go looking for smart home tech and see if you can find that logo, or just jump on Amazon.
I'm gonna Google it as soon as we stop filming.
Yeah. It's a good margarita.
Oh, I keep getting salt.
So why did they create Matter at all? They had Zigbee, which was already great. They had Z-Wave, which was okay. They have Wi-Fi, so why create Matter? The idea was there are so many smart home devices that just can't talk to each other. So Matter was an effort to, if you were part of the Matter standard, in theory, you could communicate one device to the other regardless of what brand you are. So now you could have your Philips talking to your Roomba, talking to your smart TV, your Apple HomeKit, whatever. And the idea was that everything can communicate to each other. Now, 2022. Matter is still very, very new in the world of technology, and is very limited in its offerings so far. Now, they're ever expanding. I mean, they're constantly doing stuff. If you were going to buy a house and start putting smart home tech in it, or you're going to build a house, I would not recommend putting Matter in yet. In 3 or 4 years, I would say, sure, jump into it and get into it. But it's still very new right now and be not necessarily the best course of action. Now, you might go ahead and start with Matter. If you get a Zigbee device that is Matter capable, you can start with Zigbee, and then in a couple years, when Matter is just absolutely flawless, then it's already capable, so you can already keep using it.
If Matter sticks around, right? I mean, Matter could go the way of the Laserdisc.
It could. I doubt it will. I think Matter is going to be... I think Matter is going to be around to stay.
Okay.
Just because the whole idea is making things easier and more interoperable between devices, more compatibility.
Will it inevitably usher out and take over for Zigbee or Z-Wave?
Probably Z-Wave will probably go away. Okay. I mean, it's still a pretty popular protocol, but I think Zigbee devices would just be kind of in the background. And a lot of Matter devices still use Zigbee on the backside. They're supposed to use Wi-Fi, they're supposed to use Thread, but a lot of them still have some Zigbee communication going on the backside that allows them to talk to each other. So I don't think Zigbee is going away very soon. I mean, who knows? The tech world is so volatile. In 10 years, we could be talking about 10 different other protocols that smart homes use.
Yeah. Or just one that rose up and dominated all of them.
Yes, and it could be none of these.
AI.
Yeah. So, whether or not Matter goes away or stays, I think it's here to stay. Time will tell.
Okay.
The other thing that is unique with Matter is each device gets its own IPv6 address. Without getting into networking, there's an IPv4 address and IPv6. IPv4 is limited in scope to a much smaller range than IPv6, and it's because of the number of characters used between, IPv4 is octets, it's, 32 bits. IPv6 is not. It's hexadecimal. It's not binary, zeros and ones.
Okay.
So lots more addressing capabilities with IPv6, which is why they're using it for smart homes, because you may want way more devices in your home. So because it uses IPv6, it's got its own addressing scheme that is very unique, because Zigbee and Z-Wave don't use that. The other thing about it is that it can be used, or Thread can be used with HomeKit, which is an Apple service or Apple platform, as opposed to just using it with Matter. There are other platforms that are starting to pull in Thread, which is very nice. We'll talk a little bit more about the other brands and platforms in a couple of minutes with the next round. But there's lots of cool things you can do with the different protocols. I think the way I'm going to go in the future is going to be Zigbee for the time being.
Okay.
And then I'm probably going to look at Matter. Probably not in the house I'm in now, but whenever I decide to move or build a house or whatever, I'm probably going to look at doing a whole Matter home.
Making your home matter.
Yes. Yep. Okay, so that's protocols.
I have a question.
Give me a question.
Because years ago, I had a lot of DVDs, a lot of Blu-rays.
Mm-hmm.
I digitized all of them.
Yeah.
So I have basically a digital library of video files.
Okay.
And I use a program called Plex.
Okay.
And I have a computer that serves just like a small computer that serves as my media server.
Mm-hmm.
And it uses Wi-Fi to go, so I can download a Plex app on this TV, or whatever, any TV in my house on my phone, and I can watch whatever is on my media server over Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Is there a way to do that not using Wi-Fi? I didn't even know these other things existed, so that's pretty cool. So would there be a way for me to have my media server talk to my TV and still allow, because they're all in the same space, right? They're all basically connected. A lot of them are hardwired through Ethernet anyway. Seems silly to have to go out to the internet, come back again when they're 100 feet apart.
Yeah.
So is there a solution to that problem that I have?
I can't say that I know every solution out there in the world, and there's just no way you could. If you are in the comments and you know of a particular solution for this problem, then feel free to chime in and let us know the kind of things that you guys have done. That being said, I think Wi-Fi or network communication between your media server and your TVs is going to be your best bet because of bandwidth capabilities.
Okay. Because of 4K and stuff.
So I think if you tried to push the same movie through Zigbee, I mean, we're talking about these 250 kilobits, you're not going to be watching a movie at that speed. You're going to be like, man, this sucks. It's constantly buffering. So, so that, I think, would not get you very far. Bluetooth, I don't think you'd want to send that much data across Bluetooth in any kind of fashion. Bluetooth is great if you're going to do like an NFC communication to just send a quick, maybe a quick video or quick song or something from one device to the other, or quick signals, but I don't think you're going to want to send a 4K video across it.
What about creating some kind of wired network? Like I'm in an office building and all the computers on this floor are connected through,
Yeah, so you can easily do wired networks. And you said that most of the devices in your house are wired anyways.
Yeah. The smart TVs just have Ethernet connected.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times the best thing you can do is just turn Wi-Fi off on your wired devices.
Okay.
So that they're not using Wi-Fi at all. And then in theory, that means that your Plex system is going to go through the wired connection instead.
Would it still utilize the internet though? Like if my internet goes out, would that still?
Yeah. So
because we're out here in the middle of nowhere in Western Kentucky, and the wind can blow wrong, and I lose internet or I lose power, or obviously if I lose power, my TVs aren't going to turn on. But
I think probably you would want to look for an application other than Plex.
Okay.
Because Plex is probably home base kind of communication where you talk to the Plex servers in order to communicate then to your endpoint. I don't know that for a fact. Just speculating.
Yeah. This sounds like another episode.
There's probably enough to talk about another episode to find a way to communicate media server to device as a local communication. I'm sure there is. In fact, I would guarantee there is. So when it comes time, we'll do an episode about media servers and how that might work.
I'll make you solve my problem. In the meantime, anybody, like you said, in the comments can solve my problem. I'll buy you a drink. I don't know how that'll work, but we'll figure it out.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to give you another cocktail, and we're going to talk about... What are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about brands and platforms and hardware devices.
And why they matter.
Yes.
back for round 3. We have done a whiskey sour.
Mm-hmm.
We have done a margarita.
Yep.
And now, as we near the end of our episode, we will go with, how about an after-dinner cocktail?
Okay.
How about that? That sounds appropriate. We're going with vodka on this one, and because we talked about Kahlúa, we're going to go with Kahlúa. Vodka and Kahlúa. If you know anything about cocktails, you might think, oh, White Russian. There you go, White Russian. That's where we're at with this one. So, little story about Kahlúa. Kahlúa is a rum-based liqueur. Rum. It's from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Sugarcane rum, Arabica. I don't know how to pronounce it. We'll say Arabica coffee. A little bit of vanilla. And it gives you. It's not super creamy. It's not like an Irish cream.
Mm-hmm.
Just dark core, very coffee. Goes great in an espresso martini. In this case, White Russian, Black Russian. If you want to leave the cream out. But yeah, it's a great after dinner cocktail. A little bit of a dessert cocktail. Not everybody drinks it for dessert. People drink it around here just because. So why not? So we're gonna go with that. It's 1.5 ounces. It's 2 ounces of vodka. We're going to build this in the glass. So ice is already in the glass. 2 ounces of vodka. That feels like a lot of the glass already. We're going to go with our Kahlúa coffee liqueur. 1 ounce here. Add that in. Okay. I am going to take my bar spoon and just do a little bit of a stir. Kind of let those two combine. And then we are going to take a little bit of milk. If you don't have milk, you can use cream. All I have really handy was skim milk, so it's not exactly, but boom. Pour that over top and serve. Maybe just a smidge more ice so it looks like it fills the glass a little better. There you go. We'll put that in there. You tell me what you think, sir. You may notice I did not fill my glass because there is a variation on this drink that we can do, and it uses all of the same ingredients.
Ooh.
That we've already talked about.
That is good.
Yeah.
You mentioned on break that it would definitely lend towards the coffee flavor.
Yeah.
And I don't care for super dark coffees.
Yeah.
But gosh, this is fantastic.
Well, good. Good. Doesn't need any sugar. It's already got a little bit of the. I mean, rum is a sweeter liquor anyway, so you don't really need a lot of sugar with it. Most people just, I think we said earlier, just a lot of fruit juices.
Yeah.
Complement a good rum. Or if you get a really good rum, aged rum, a great cigar.
Okay.
Takes it completely away from the sweetened area. But yeah, so that is a White Russian. Quite delicious. Another cocktail that exists out there is instead of vodka, you would use a brandy, and that is called the Dirty Mother, which I just think the name's hilarious. So instead of brandy, what we are going to use is what we already have in our home bar, triple sec. So this is an orange variation on a Dirty Mother.
Okay.
So we're going to start with Kahlúa. Kahlúa will be actually our base on this one. So we're going to go with 1.5 ounces of Kahlúa. Pour that in there. And then we are doing 1 ounce of triple sec. And now you may say, but triple sec is not brandy, and you would be correct. This is just a liqueur. As we mentioned, orange infused into kind of a nothing-based spirit, not a lot of flavor to it. And that's vodka, right? I mean, vodka is designed not to have flavor.
Okay.
So it kills me anytime somebody comes into this bar and they're like, hey, I have to have Tito's, or I have to have Grey Goose, or what have you, any kind of particular vodka, because vodka is designed to be a mixer. it doesn't have a lot of flavor. It has burn.
Yeah.
So I mean, the big takeaway with vodka is don't go for the cheapest one on the shelf because you'll feel that the next day. It's not good. You want a good quality vodka, but the flavor of vodka doesn't matter unless you're getting into flavored vodkas. I've got right here. There's a vanilla vodka. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. There's grapefruit vodkas. You can go in a liquor store and there are dozens.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say hundreds. Hundreds is a big exaggeration. There are dozens of vodka flavors out there. So unless it is a flavored vodka, it is not designed to be tasted per se, just to be a good base and let all the other flavors in the glass shine and do the talking. So with this one, orange, triple sec is not a brandy, but Grand Gala, which we mentioned earlier, Grand Gala, Cointreau, those are brandies. They're orange flavored brandies. They're a step up from triple sec. If you're in a Mexican restaurant, you order a top shelf margarita, they're going to give you one of those as opposed to a triple sec, and they're going to give you a higher quality. If they're serving Jose Cuervo tequila, they're probably going to give you like a Patron tequila, so it's a little bit nicer. That kind of thing. It's not going to be the well tequila. Alright, and then, so we're just doing coffee and orange in this one. It's a giant hunk of ice. Alright. Little extra ice, and then I'm just going to pour maybe like a half ounce of milk over top of that. And so, there we go. And then I'm going to give it a quick little stir. And so this is going to give you all of the flavors from the White Russian, except you're going to have a little bit of orange in here as well. So that's a dirty mother. That's pretty good. That's actually really good. You're welcome to try that if you'd like.
I will.
So, but yeah, that's... Oh, no, yeah, the one thing I was going to mention, you may wonder why our episodes have been trending longer. We've been trying to shorten the time down, but the truth of the matter is, we're sitting here drinking 3-4 cocktails every episode, and the human liver can only process about 1 drink per hour, which translates to about 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, 1.5 ounce of liquor like vodka, 80 proof liquor like vodka, like the Bullet, that kind of stuff. So anything beyond that, we're going like 2-hour episodes. We're drinking 3 cocktails. So the first, the 2 cocktails at the beginning, they tend to kind of process through by the time our episode is over. This third one kind of sticks with us. It's tipsy tech talk, y'all. It's not trash tech talk, if I can talk. Because, we want to be responsible as we drink. The good thing about this one being home bar, you're probably not going anywhere. Yeah. Right? You're in for the night. You can have a couple extra cocktails because, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. Drink lots of water, though, because you don't want to be feeling like crap when you wake up the next day. Alcohol will dehydrate you. A lot of the hangover is just dehydration. Yeah. So drink a lot of water, Powerade, Body Armor, that kind of stuff. And yeah, if you're gonna drink, don't drive. It's not worth it. I tell when we cut people off at the bar, which we don't have to do very often, thankfully. We're not that kind of bar. But when it happens, we make it very clear to our people, like, we like you, we want you to come back, and the best way to make sure you come back is if you get home safely. Yeah. So, we cut you off because we love you, not because we don't want you to have a good time. So, drink responsibly, come back. There are always more cocktails in your future. You don't have to cram them all in one night. So. Yeah,
and if you got some buddies, by the way, that tasted really good. Mm-hmm. But if you got some buddies that are coming to your home bar, take their keys. Yeah. If they have too much, you may have noticed I got a water here in the background, and I've been drinking on it in between glasses, just because we're doing 3 different kinds of liquor here, and obviously you don't necessarily want to do different kinds of mixed drinks just back to back to back without a little bit of maybe a palate cleanser for the taste, or a little bit of water to keep that hydration going. Yeah. So yeah.
So that's it. That's a good dirty mother.
That's very good, actually.
I think I found my new after dinner cocktail.
This to me, I do get more of a dessert kind of taste because it's got that coffee in it.
Yep.
And the coffee flavoring in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that a lot. The orange in it is there, but it's subtle.
Yeah.
And it makes for a really good drink.
Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah. We left off, we were talking about before protocols, but we're going to combine a couple different things into this segment. And we're going to talk about brands and platforms, we're going to talk about hardware types, and then maybe a little bit of automations, the kinds of automations you can do, and some examples that I have seen in some videos, some of which kind of allude to the dumber people part.
Okay.
So we'll get into that in just a second. But, let's, just for the sake of it, let's talk about brands and platforms.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, not sponsored by any of these brands. So, we have a preference for some over others, but not sponsored by any. Samsung is the very first one because everybody thinks of Samsung TVs, Samsung phones.
Mm-hmm.
They have a platform called SmartThings.
Okay.
And originally, SmartThings was put out there for all of your Samsung devices. However, in recent years, to pull back from the last segment, they have started introducing Matter. So now you don't have to have a Samsung device to control it using SmartThings. If it's a Matter-enabled device, you can kind of begin to control it using SmartThings. So you may go to a store and you pick up an object or you pick up some kind of technology and it says Samsung SmartThings, or it may say compatible with Matter, or it may have a Home Connectivity Alliance badge.
Okay.
So if it's got one of those badges, SmartThings can probably do something with it. Everybody thinks Samsung, so then they go to thinking about Google. Well, Google has its own platform called Google Home. You can think of the Nest audio devices and speakers, or you can think of Nest thermostats. That would be more of in the Google Home platform as opposed to the Samsung SmartThings. Okay. Then the one that you and I both use a lot of is Amazon Alexa. Mm-hmm. Alexa requires some kind of Alexa-enabled device, whether that is a Echo, a Kindle, an Echo Show, an Echo Max,
Fire TV.
A Fire TV, yep. Any of those Amazon Alexa devices can act as your hub, so to speak.
Okay.
Which is very nice. And then you have Apple HomeKit. I'm not an Apple guy. You're not an Apple guy. Neither one of us care to have HomeKit.
Nope.
But if you are an Apple home, like your family, everybody has Apple devices, you have an Apple TV, whatever, HomeKit may be the way to go.
I do like certain TV shows on Apple TV.
Yes. Well, but Apple has their own TV lines.
Right.
And if you get the Apple TV 4K, it can actually act as your hub, which is nice for the HomeKit systems. Again, I'm not an Apple guy, so I don't know much about HomeKit, but I do know that it's very popular. Matter, I think I mentioned earlier, Matter also, or Thread also has some compatibility with HomeKit.
Okay.
The next one is Control 4, which I know almost nothing about except for that it is mostly used for professional integration systems.
Okay.
So not really used for your home systems so much as professional systems. And the last one that I'll talk about is Home Assistant. Home Assistant, we mentioned earlier, requires a dedicated hub or server or computer or what have you. You can go online and buy a computer specifically for Home Assistant. That's about $99. Or if you have an old server that you're not using anymore, you could reallocate that If you have an old computer, you could reallocate that computer to be a Home Assistant server.
Gotcha.
Now, the majority of the top ones, they are brand specific most of the time. Now, Matter kind of allows for some change that you don't have to be so brand specific.
Mm-hmm.
Home Assistant, though, is open source. It is brand agnostic. It doesn't care what brand you pull in, what kind of protocol, how you're using it, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't care at all. Most of the time, you can configure a Home Assistant setup to have Zigbee devices, Matter devices, HomeKit devices, whatever it might be. It's kind of similar to where Amazon, you create skills for different devices.
Okay.
In this case, you would create a skill. I don't think Home Assistant calls it skills, but you would create a skill for the different brands, and then you could pull in that brand's functionality into Home Assistant to allow you to do way cooler things. I don't have Home Assistant currently. I think that's the direction I'm headed.
Okay.
Right now, like I said earlier, I have all Amazon Alexa products. But I think I'm going to start introducing Zigbee to my Amazon Home system.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to use Home Assistant to pull all those Zigbee devices so I can use both at the same time.
Okay.
So going away from brands and platforms for a second to talk about hardware types, smart home tech is not limited to anything. I mean, if you can put electricity to it, you're probably going to be able to automate it in some way.
Okay.
Different devices or hardware types. You think of, first of all, end devices versus routing devices. We mentioned that earlier.
Sure.
An end device is something at the very end. It does a certain functionality. That's it. A routing device is somewhere in between where it pushes that network the rest of the way to your end device. Okay, then you have main devices like the hubs, such as the Amazon Echo or the Home Assistant hub, or the Apple TV 4K is your Apple HomeKit hub. So lots of different devices that you can use as your main devices. Also, if you go away from the Wi-Fi enabled devices and you're using Zigbee or some other local protocol, what's nice about that is sometimes you may still need to have a Wi-Fi enabled device, but you can limit it to one. So if you have a hub, it is connected to your internet, whereas your other devices are all local, talking to each other.
Sure.
That is way safer than just let's take every device in our home and stick it on the internet. So definitely that's a little bit safer. But then you have sensors. These can be environmental sensors. They can be motion sensors, IR sensors, smoke detectors.
Okay.
Anything that has some kind of let's measure a thing and then do something with that measurement. So environmental sensors, it could be things like we're measuring for maybe carbon monoxide leaks, or we're measuring for a particular humidity level, or things of that nature.
Sure.
IR and motion, you're looking for, when does somebody cross a line? When does somebody come into the view of this device? That kind of thing. Then you have cameras. We don't use cameras in our business that are more smart home kind of cameras. The kind of stuff that we do is a little bit different, but there are several brands, think of Ring doorbell, that has all kinds of different camera types that you can integrate into smart home systems.
Sure. We have several of those.
Yes, yeah. Here you guys have some cameras that you guys use that tie into different systems that you guys have. Then you can have thermostats. I personally have an Alexa thermostat. It's fantastic. Am I lazy because I don't want to walk up to the thermostat and say, hey, like hit the button to turn it down? No, I am productive and I am energy efficient.
That's right. You spend your energy in better ways.
Yes, by staying on the recliner and saying, hey, Alexa, turn the thermostat down to 68 or whatever,
That's right.
The other nice thing about thermostats that are smart enabled is most of them have the functionality to begin to learn. Some of them are using AI, some of them are just advanced algorithms, things of that nature, but a lot of them can begin to learn your behaviors. For an example, maybe you want to walk out of your home and go to work, and 8, 10, 12 hours later, depending on what kind of shift you have, you come back. Well, you don't necessarily want your air conditioning to be running full blast while you're gone the whole time. So these smart enabled thermostats allow you to either schedule, or if they have AI or they have the advanced algorithms, they can begin to learn your behaviors. Some of them, and we'll talk about automations in a little bit more detail in a second, but some of them, you can actually do presence detectors. So, you have your phone, it's connected to your Wi-Fi. You walk out of your house and disconnect from your Wi-Fi, and now your smart home says, hey, he's gone, he's left for work, it's time to turn the thermostat down. We don't need to run the AC full blast anymore because he's not here. And then the moment you pull into the driveway, you get close enough, your phone reconnects to Wi-Fi, and your thermostat says, "Hey, he's back home. Let's turn it down, or let's blast the AC."
Let's party.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the really cool thing about how smart homes can be effective for, things as small as energy efficiency and scheduling and things of that nature. So if I was going to suggest a smart home tech to start with, thermostat is probably where I would start with.
Okay.
The other option might be smart plugs.
Yeah.
So speaking of smart plugs, why would you want to use those? I have 2 smart plugs in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't have a very big house, but in my house, I have one connected to a lamp.
Okay.
And I have one connected to a fan in my bedroom.
Okay.
Now, I have a ceiling fan in my bedroom. Why do I want a smart plug with a fan attached to it? The reason why is I actually use a CPAP when I sleep. So for me, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm sweating, it's super hot, for me to take off my CPAP mask and reach up and turn the fan on, that's a lot of extra work.
Sure.
Whereas what I can
waking up.
Yeah, I'm groggy, whatever. Yeah. The other option is, or the alternative, I just pick up my phone, hit the Alexa app, don't have to take my CPAP off, and I say, turn bedroom fan on.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the little fan that's on the corner of my room turns on because of the smart plug, and now it's running full blast in the room to cool the room down.
Yeah.
Is that lazy? I tend to not think so.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I am being a little lazy, I don't know, but I tend to think that is more about making it's about making life better for myself. I don't have to take the CPAP off. I don't have to reach up and get all crazy. I got my dog that sleeps in the same bed as me.
Yeah.
He doesn't get disturbed because I'm getting up and doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's phone, click, turn bedroom fan on, and phone back down, and that's it.
I mean, we run, as you know, we have a bed and breakfast attached to this bar, and we have a smart switch on a coffee percolator.
Yeah.
And that turns on at 5 a.m. every morning because sometimes we have guests that wake up really early.
Yeah.
We don't do breakfast till 7:30, so I'm not waking up to get up and make coffee at 5 a.m. to go back to bed for another hour before, So we set the percolator up the night before. It's on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It turns on at 5. It percolates. It's ready to go by 5:30. Turns off at 10 o'clock, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's not lazy. It's efficiency because a lot of times too, if there's only one guest in the house, they're like, "Well, we wake up early, but don't wake up for us."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm not."
Yeah.
So I'm not waking up for you. We got this on lock. So, but and then Christmas time. Our outside Christmas lights are on a schedule. Our Christmas tree is on a schedule. It's just about building the ambiance in the inn for the guests that are there, even if we're not. You know, if we have to go run out and get groceries or something at 4 o'clock every day as it starts to get dark in December, tree turns on.
Yeah.
And they could be sitting there reading a book, playing a game, and they're like, "Tree, hey, this is cool. It feels festive and pretty and all that stuff." So, yeah, there's a lot of uses beyond not wanting to get up. Will some people be lazy with the smart? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the movie WALL-E.
So that's the drastic other side of smart home. People get so used to automation and the Internet of Things and things being connected that now they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
My opposition to that is it's not because I don't want to do anything. It's because I want to do other stuff with my time.
Sure.
So other stuff with my time, I mean, I've worked long hours during the week. When I get home, I don't want to have to get up and down to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can say, "Hey, Alexa, turn off the ceiling fan," or "Alexa, turn the thermostat down," and I can, keep eating dinner while I'm doing it, that's what I'm going to do. So I can earn back some of that time that I spend during my day.
And we have a smart cat feeder.
Yeah.
And it feeds the cat twice a day, and cats are pretty self-sufficient. So if we have to go into town for a day to do stuff, the cat's got her litter box. She's got her food twice a day. If we know we're not going to be there to give her the wet food as well, we just up the dose on the dry food.
Yeah.
Cat's taken care of, so it's it's convenient.
Yeah. So, just briefly, a couple other smartphone devices or hardware types. might have buttons. We talked about earlier, you can bind buttons using Zigbee. They give a button wherever that you click and it does a thing.
Yeah.
They have other kinds of buttons, of course, as well. Leak detectors. I saw a video, it was pretty cool, of a guy took a detector and he stuck it on his water main going into his house. And then he went into his kitchen and turned his faucet on. And he could watch when water was flowing through the main pipe, which was very nice for him because at some point he had a leak. And him being able to, turn off all your water faucets and everything, your hydrants, whatever you might have.
Yeah.
And then you look at the app and you're like, oh, I am registering some water going through the system right now that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So now you know you've got a leak somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a pretty cool use case of just, home efficiency, watching your bills, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You spend a little bit more for that sensor, but now you have something that can keep you from, spending lots of money over time for maybe it's $3 here, $3 there, $10 the next month, whatever, where you get a leak and you develop, some kind of actual problem. There's actually
a toilet that was running all the time for a month. It doubled our water bill.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. So yeah, I mean, you spend a little extra on one of those things, and it'll prevent big money. It goes for a couple of months.
I was actually thinking there's somebody else that frequents this bar that they were just telling me that while they were gone on a trip, they their water heater sprung a leak.
Oh.
And it actually was so bad that it was flooding the floor and dripping into the room below where they stay, which is somebody else's business, basically.
Yeah.
And they were out on the trip. They had very little cell phone service on a cruise, and their daughter actually had to take care of the whole thing. And she was capable. She got it taken care of with some help from some other people in the area, and they got that done. But if they had had a sensor for leak detection on their water main, it could have alerted the owners of the property directly to their cell phone and said, hey, you're pushing out a lot of water right now. There's probably an issue.
Right.
Which could have, based on other automations, alerted other people. They had to wait until they got a phone call from the people below them, the tenants below them.
Yeah.
But if they had the smart home sensor, it could have done something else to, call the water department. Or it could have shut off the water if they had the correct hardware in place to do that. So all kinds of different automations and all kinds of different hardware. But that's an example of one that I think is not the dumber people portion of this. It's the smarter home portion of this.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, you want to avoid being a dumb person by having a smartphone. Using the stuff in a smarter way to make, smart home convenient people.
Yeah. So a couple other examples. Lights, whether that's strips or bulbs. And then ceiling fans, or fans just in general. I have a Caro brand fan at home that is Alexa enabled.
Okay.
So it has 10 speeds. It can go clockwise or counterclockwise. It has warm lights, cool lights. It has a mixture of anything in between. I can tell Alexa to turn the speed up, turn the speed down. I have main power to it going all the time, so it's not on a switch. It's just directly connected to power.
Sure.
But what's nice is, and I have a remote that hangs on the wall. So if somebody other than me, who doesn't know it's Alexa enabled, comes in, they can use the remote to do something with the fan. I can walk in there and say, Alexa, turn the ceiling fan to 3, or turn the ceiling fan to 10.
Yeah.
Or turn the ceiling fan counterclockwise. Maybe it's summer versus winter. That is super effective for me because before I didn't have any lights in my living room, and I didn't have any circulation in my living room. So I had to bring a fan in and set it into the floor, or set it into the living room, and just blow on me while I'm sitting in the recliner watching TV. Like, it's so hot, it's miserable. And I do have AC in my house, but it wasn't circulating super well in the living room. But this ceiling fan is really nice because without even a thought, I can say, hey, turn the ceiling fan to 10.
Yeah.
I'm hot. Let's cool it down a little bit. Okay, so we've talked about hardware types. We've talked about brands and platforms.
Yep.
Let's talk about just automations in general.
Okay.
We've mentioned a few of those. So one automation I have using Alexa and using skills is I say, Alexa, good night. So when I say Alexa, good night, what's really cool about that is Alexa then turns my smart TV off. All of the smart plug I have that goes to a lamp in the living room and the light that goes to the ceiling fan, all of those turn off at the same time. It also brings the ceiling fan speed down because I don't need it to be running full blast while I'm asleep in the bedroom.
Sure.
So that is an example of a really simple automation that you can do with smart home tech.
Yep.
Okay, let's get a little crazier. First of all, do you have an example of smart home automations that you guys use other than scheduled times? Which, by the way, is an automation.
Not really. I guess it's kind of an automation where we can, when we play music through multiple devices, we have it where we say, hey, play it in the whole hotel.
Yeah.
And it'll play music in multiple rooms at the same time.
Using grouping or categories and things.
But in terms of, I'm familiar with the good night concept. You could even hook your thermostat to that and have that adjusted to, you don't necessarily need it while you're sleeping, but we don't. I haven't really had the time to explore automations like that.
Do you are you familiar with Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Imperial March when Darth Vader walks into the room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have an automation. Super simple. In the automation, I say, Alexa, intruder alert. And it says, intruder alert, prepare to die. And then plays the Imperial March song. It's stupid. It's a gimmick. It doesn't do anything for anybody, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I also have one that is something like, Alexa, turn the lights down. And it turns the ceiling fan lights down to a very warm, low setting.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts playing the song Turn the Lights Down Low by Josh Turner. The concept behind that one, or the idea behind that one, was like, I'm going to impress a date by doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worked yet, but anyways, I did it. But automations can get way cooler and way stupider. There's a video I was watching of a guy that had 300 automations in his smart home.
Wow.
If you have 300 automations in your smart home, you either stay home way too much,
mm-hmm.
or you have a reason to do it. In this case, he had a reason to do it. And also, I think he stayed home too much. His son was special needs.
Okay.
He had some kind of disability. I'm not sure exactly what the disability was. They didn't specify in the video. But because his son had special needs, they did all kinds of things in their home to create a smart home that was for him.
Mm.
And it was not about being lazy. It was about safety and security for their son. So an example of the things that they did was, and some of these are very simple. Some of these are very complex.
Mm.
But they used their smart home to determine things like, did he brush his teeth? They had a smart tech enabled toothbrush for him. And so they have like a chore chart for him. And if he does a chore, he says that he has selected, they have a touchscreen display.
Okay.
He says that he's done this chore. It sends a signal to mom and dad, and that sends a notification to their phone. And mom and dad can look at their phone and go, oh, okay, he says that he's made his bed, for example. And they can say, oh, okay, I saw that he made his bed, and they can confirm it. Once confirmed, it then allows a point system to go into play, where after so many points for the week, then their son can choose from, some kind of reward. Great for younger kids who fit this category.
Sure.
Going back to the brush your teeth example, was the smart toothbrush then communicated with the home system, smart tech system, and said, oh, he actually did brush his teeth. It wasn't just that he hit the button on the screen. It measures that the toothbrush was used. And because of that, then mom and dad know without having to be there to check on every little thing, oh, he actually did use it, so, hey, he gets that point for the week.
Yeah.
Great use case for that particular instance. For most other people, if you have a smart home toothbrush and you need it for a point system and you're 30 years old, grow up.
Wow.
But continuing on with the other things that this home was doing, in every room they had a smart home speaker. The speaker, based on different people, would have a different voice.
Okay.
And this ties back into some of the conversation from last week, but each room had a smart home voice, different for each individual that was using it. And particular things would cause different things to happen with the voice.
Okay.
An example is they have smart cameras on the outside of their building. So when a car drives up to the parking lot or the driveway, it would say, hey, blue sedan has just pulled into the driveway. Then person walks up to the doorbell, and they have some kind of video intercom at the door, and the video intercom would then tell the speaker to say, person with blonde hair, yellow shirt, blue pants, no gun, has shown up to the front door.
It's helpful.
It is. And then at a certain point...
it's not a cop.
And then at a certain point, it can identify particular people. So, hey, Grandma has shown up at the door. Now the son knows that Grandma's at the door. He can go open it.
But Grandma has a gun.
Right, yes.
Like, what?
So smart home tech can do all kinds of things. And so having a camera that can identify very specific aspects. And so they were creating, Gemini is a language learning model. ChatGPT is the same thing. That's LLM is what we call that, which is, most people just call that AI. It's not. It's language learning model. But language learning models can be developed by individuals that have nothing to do with Gemini or ChatGPT. You can just create one. So they created one. That particular language learning model can identify certain aspects that different devices use using certain APIs and things of that nature to then communicate through the speakers to the people in the house. Okay, that makes it very nice for knowing who's at the door. That makes it nice for knowing what kind of car pulls up.
Yeah.
But the other thing that it could do is they were in Canada. They like watching NHL. They like watching just different hockey in general. And they programmed their AI and they programmed their smart home that if they're in the living room and they're watching a game and their team that they're rooting for scores, it uses an NHL API to pull in that score to the smart home and flash their smart lights and do a buzzer through the speakers.
Wow. That's funny.
Is that overkill?
Unnecessary, but funny.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the
Talk about impressing a girl.
Oh. Now I know the things I all do.
Yeah. You gotta find a hockey fan.
And in this area, I'll find an NFL fan or something.
Yeah.
But, so, that's one of the functionalities they do. Again, the child has special
Sure.
So the kid, he also enjoys what they call the party mode in the house. The party mode is as simple as, depending on what room he's in, specifically his bedroom, maybe the bathroom, maybe the living room, he can use either a button on the wall, or he can use a button they have several touchscreen displays throughout the house. He can press one of those buttons to activate party mode. For him, party mode is some music and the smart lights in the house flash random colors.
Sure.
Which, for a couple of minutes, for a kid who enjoys it, that's the greatest thing in the world.
Unless he spams the button.
Yeah. So I'm sure that they have some safeguards in place for button spamming, but that's one of the things that in the video they were talking about that the boy just loves to do.
Sure.
Here is where I find a problem. One of the other automations that they have in that home is they have a plug connected to the popcorn maker.
Okay.
They use the popcorn maker whenever they're going to watch movies or whatever, and their son loves it. But the smart plug basically turns on, according to an automation, starts a timer in the system. When the timer is done, that means that the popcorn maker is hot. When the popcorn maker is hot, that means, okay, it's time for you to put in your popcorn. And that means at a certain point, it's, okay, your popcorn's done. And then they can go get their popcorn.
Yeah.
It's not a smart popcorn maker. It's just connected to a plug that is. The reason why I have a problem with this is because at a certain point, it's just get up and check your popcorn maker. Like, if that is such a common occurrence to you that you need smart tech,
right?
Like, you're having too much popcorn or too much fun. One of the two.
Could be a lot of fun. If you have that many automations, hockey automations and everything, it's really not that surprising they would take it to extreme levels.
Yeah, I mean, it started out as, how can we make our son's life easier?
Yeah.
And it turned into...
Wall-E.
Wall-E, yeah.
Turned into Wall-E.
So, and I've watched several videos that were tours of people's smart homes.
Yeah.
There's some really cool ones. There's some things that are like, yeah, this is something I want to do in my own house one day.
Yeah.
Then there are some things that are like, just don't be that lazy.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe it's lazy that I don't want to get up to turn the thermostat down, but also it's lazy that you don't want to just
check the popcorn.
Yeah, check the popcorn or write down when you need to take your medicine.
Yeah.
Like, you can set a reminder on your phone that doesn't include your smart home. But some people are like, create a buzzer that if I walk outside and I haven't taken my medicine yet because I didn't click the button, then it needs to alarm. I'm like, why? Why do you need to do that?
If you have to remember to touch the button that takes your medicine, you can remember to take your medicine.
Yeah. Technology is used for improvements on our life.
Yeah.
It should not make you stupider.
Sure.
So, yeah, and you know, it's one of the things. The episode is called Smart Homes, Dumb People, or Smarter Homes, Dumber People. You got smartphones and dumb people. Like, at a certain point, take responsibility for who you are and your actions.
Yeah.
Put the devices down as much as you love them, and find a way to be more involved in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's your little life lesson for the day.
Yeah. Drink responsibly. Smart home responsibly.
Just, yeah. And a last piece of advice that we'll talk about. If you are going to do a smart home, again, I suggest maybe use Wi-Fi to start, but if you're going to create a real smart home, jump into the Zigbee world. Jump into the local platforms where you don't have to use the internet for everything, because Amazon, Google, Samsung, Apple, they don't need to know every little detail about your life. They just don't. So, you know, maybe you have Wi-Fi to start. That's fine. Find something like Home Assistant that allows you to do local controls, and jump into that. I will be doing that in my own home. Maybe shortly in a few months or something, we'll talk about some more advancements on smart homes that we have done. And then talking about alcohol, Joey mentioned it earlier, but don't drink and drive. Don't do stupid things. If you're gonna drink, have a good time. But we're tipsy tech talk, not we got blitzed and can't talk anymore. Enjoy your alcohol responsibly. Enjoy your tech responsibly.
Yes.
And
have a DD if you need one. So, or just make your home bar, and stay home, and enjoy your evening in your smart home.
You might create an automation in your smart home that is a breathalyzer, and if your breathalyzer goes off at too high a level, it locks your car doors.
Yeah, your cars are smart too.
Yeah, that's what Tesla will be doing.
There you go. Until next time, y'all.
Next week, we're talking about connected chaos. We're going to branch off a little bit more from this conversation to the Internet of Things. And so chime in next week, and we'll see you then.
All right, so with these 5 liquors, you can make a whole lot of drinks. A few common mixers you may want to have for your home bar as well. Soda water, tonic, cola, Coke or Pepsi, whatever floats your boat. A ginger beer, lemon juice, lime juice, oranges, cranberry juice, grapefruit, simple syrup, honey syrup. Honey syrup is the same as simple syrup. It's just equal parts honey and water instead of sugar and water. But, in the vodka side, you can do vodka sodas, vodka tonics, screwdrivers, which is vodka and OJ, Cape Cods, which is vodka cranberry, Greyhounds, vodka grapefruit, Moscow Mules, ginger beer and lime, vodka Collins, lemon and soda, Cosmopolitan is vodka, triple sec, splash of cranberry, and a lime, Black Russians with the Kahlúa, White Russians with the Kahlúa and cream or milk. On the bourbon side, you just need to add a bottle of bitters, which you can pick up pretty inexpensively. You make old fashions with that. You can do a bourbon and Coke, a whiskey sour with the lemon and lime juice and a little bit of sugar. Gold Rush, which is honey and lemon in there. Bourbon Mule, which is the ginger beer and the lime. Bourbon Lemonade. Kentucky Buck. With tequila, you got the margarita, the ranch water, the Paloma, the tequila sunrise, tequila and tonic, tequila mule, tequila sour, Mexican screwdrivers. Triple sec allows you to make kamikazes, orange spritz, sidecar style riffs. Margaritas, of course, Cosmo, as we said. The Kahlúa. Try Kahlúa and Coke. Kahlúa and soda. Anything to give you a little sweetness on the after side. And if you don't like what we have here, if Bullet's not your thing, Buffalo Trace, Four Roses, Woodford, Makers, those will all work. They're all relatively in the right price point. If you can't find the Rocktown vodka, Smirnoff's easy to find everywhere. You probably already, if you're a vodka drinker, you probably love Tito's, so Tito's works. And then, if you can't find the Luna Azul, look for an El Jimador or an Espolon or something of that nature, all about $25 a bottle. So, happy home barring.